Hi guys, welcome to the Mother Days podcast. I'm your host Sarah Wright Olsen,
And I'm Teresa Palmer. How you going, daisies?
and we're of course talking about nipples and all the
Stretch
things
nipples.
over. Stretching the
I,
nipple
I
because
just saw Sarah's nipple get pulled so far away from the body. I was like, wow, that is,
yes,
I know that feeling.
and the truth is, it is that long. It is that big. It
It's so
is
funny how they mold and shape.
worse than what you would think in your mind.
Oh my God.
So that's just the way that it is. No, I was just telling we have an amazing guest today and I'm so excited for her to be here. But before we jumped on, I was just telling her that Ocean is going through her first like real growth spurt, I think, because she's really like kind of on and off fussy, wants to nurse all the time, and was up multiple times last night telling me how hungry she was. And I was like, is my milk supply dropping? Like, what's happening? But I kept squeezing my boobs and milk would shoot everywhere. And I was like, I don't think this is a supply issue. But anyway, well, you guys, I'm so excited to introduce our guest today because she's just such a special soul and she's going to share her amazing motherhood journey with us. I want to welcome to the show Lindzi Scharf, and she is a writer, producer, essayist, and founder of Retality. Did I say it right?
You got it. You got it.
Retality. She has had work that's appeared in the Los Angeles Times, The Today Show, LA Magazine, Women's World Daily, InStyle, Variety. Oh my gosh, there's so many places. Look at your stuff. New York Times. I just read that amazing snippet from the New York Times.
Thank you.
Hollywood Reporter. I feel like I've ran into you 8,000 times in Los Angeles at every one of my like favorite, female founders parties or anything.
It's true. No, it's actually kind of wild because I feel like it's only been within this specific period of time. I just kept running into you.
Yes.
And
what
it's
is
like,
that?
I don't know. I don't know.
I know Lindsay from back in the day. Like, I'm the opposite. Like, I knew you like early days.
Yeah.
And then probably I don't live in Los Angeles anymore. That's probably why I'm not bumping into you at all the fancy, cool events and parties. Every time I see Sarah at another one of these things, I get such FOMO.
I mean, honestly,
I want to be there.
Here's the thing. I force myself to get dressed and go out. I don't know if you're like that too, but for me, I realized how important it is to get dressed and smile and all of that. But I'm not out that much anymore. So it's funny. Like, I don't know if we'd run into each other all the time. And yet, if you're with Sarah, I guess we would. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we even ran into your husband when Teresa and I were together. I was like, if the universe is saying anything more about like us needing to get together and do this podcast, it's like screaming it, because I just kept seeing you and then seeing your husband. Your husband is the one that took the photos of Teresa and I when I was pregnant, and I didn't tell anyone yet. And so he was so awesome about the way he like put them out into the world because no one knew yet. And then I ended up being able to use his photos.
Oh,
which was
I love
so
that.
cool.
Well, you know what's so funny is literally you announced it, and I was like, Michael, you were just with them. You did not mention this to me. He's like, oh, I didn't. I mean, yeah, like I had no idea too. That's how.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a keeper of secrets, even from his wife, which is worrisome.
Yeah, that's so funny. Oh my gosh. Oh, well, we're so happy to have you here today, and can't wait to jump into your story. And where should we begin? I think maybe just from like choosing that work-life balance. I know you've always been so in demand. You've got a very successful career. How did you choose when to begin this parenting journey?
Wow. Well, I mean, honestly, that's even a big question in and of itself, just because I was always so career focused. I didn't know if I wanted kids. I was not, in fact, if you asked me as a teenager, I used to tell my mom all the time, I don't want kids. I don't want kids. And I was actually pretty adamant about that for a long while. And really, what changed was, and my mom was on me, of course, biological clock and all that. And I think she knew that obviously I have this other side to me. I love family. I'm so family oriented, and we're all so close. And of course, usually you go on to create your own. But I think for me, I just have always been really ambitious, and I felt like I hadn't accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish. And I felt like, how can I tell a kid to follow their dreams if I hadn't, made all of mine happen yet? And then truly what changed was, yes, we've all met in the capacity of me being an entertainment journalist, but I also always did a lot of my own writing that I just didn't talk about. I did it. I worked on books and this and that. And I think I had excavated so much of whatever was, holding me back from taking that next step in life. And one day I just finished a project, and I literally looked at my husband and I said, let's do this. And he he downloaded an ovulation app the very next day.
Oh,
stop.
Yeah, he was ready.
He was ready. Like, we've been together, oddly enough, for nearly 20 years, which is so insane to say. But I knew very early on he always loved kids. And so, I remember saying to him when we were engaged, what if one day I wake up and I realize I don't want kids? And he said, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So, but I have to say, and I know I completely respect that motherhood is not the choice for everyone. I want to be clear about that. But I also feel the need to share for anyone who's ever been me as well. You think you know yourself. And now I can honestly say I cannot imagine life any other way. And that's saying something, considering I know you guys are familiar with my journey, which is, a complicated, complex sort of situation. But gosh, even with everything, to say I would choose it all over, I would choose, and we'll get into that, but I would choose my daughter, Evan, all over again. I wish she didn't have to have the path that that we all found ourselves on, and I would never knowingly, personally choose to put someone on that path. But I can't imagine life any other way. Let me put it this way. It's a long-winded way of saying I can't imagine not having met my daughter, Evan.
Yeah.
So anyway. I know, and people have no context for any of that. But
I mean, there's definitely some people who probably know your story, but I would love for you to tell us about Evan and tell us about her and about your journey. And when you guys, I read some of your essays, and I loved hearing about your mom and her crystals and how she was like trying to give you the crystal to help you, like, with getting pregnant and everything, the first time around. And then when you were going through your journey the second time around. So, that was really sweet. And Tez and I are like, we love the woo-woo, but we also like, there's that we always say that we fall somewhere in the middle too, with everything, where it's like we love both sides of everything. And so, but I would love for you to tell us a little bit about Evan and about your daughter, your first born, and just that story.
Sure. Yeah. I love talking about Evan. I'm always looking for any excuse to talk about Evan. Obviously, it's not appropriate to be out in the world just blurting out your life story to anyone who will listen. And nor is it, for everybody. But for the right people, it makes sense to have that conversation. So Evan, I don't think anyone's going to fault me for saying this, but, I know people try for years to get pregnant. And for myself, we tried for a month, and I was pregnant with Evan.
Wow. Amazing.
Because I literally said to my husband, the moment this stops being fun, I don't want to do it anymore. Like, that's how childish I was at that time.
She was like tapping on your shoulder, being like, okay, go time.
He really was. And so, I was pregnant a month after trying with Evan. And listen, I couldn't believe I'm one of the weirdos who loved being pregnant, which shocked me. I never would have anticipated that for myself. But I think it's because, once you're showing, it's this intimate moment between you and strangers. And if they're stopping to talk to you about it, it's because they're really reliving that moment for themselves. And it's such a beautiful thing. And so I think I just loved the human connection being pregnant. And having these intimate moments with strangers that I would never see again. But, it was like a nice moment for that moment in time.
And the warmth from people.
I always said, if only we all treated everyone the way we treat pregnant women, honestly.
Yeah.
Right?
It's true.
So I had a great pregnancy, and then life changed very quickly, as it does for most new moms. But in my case, great normal pregnancy, great normal delivery. Saying that used to be an Achilles heel, because I think understandably everybody wants, when you find yourself in uncharted territory or unexpected territory, everybody wants that thing that they can point to. So it's like, oh, well, that can't happen to me because I did the genetic testing.
Right.
Well, I did the genetic testing too. I did, I took the prenatals. I did all the things you do. And then life picks on everyone at some point, in different ways, in very different ways. And so, Evan, at first, everything was seemingly normal. And I'll try not to take into too much of the minutia, but everything was seemingly normal. Like, I had the nursing experience, by the way, didn't think I would be, a breastfeeder. Like, I thought, oh, formula, that'll be easier. And then I loved the opportunity, the fact that I could. I loved having that opportunity. Slowly, those abilities fell off. And there were just a lot of things that were all happening at once that at face value would be no big deal. A PDA, kids are born with PDAs, which is a hole in the heart all the time, corrects itself. Mild hydronephrosis, that, by the way, these are all words I wish I, didn't know from, but you learn quickly. Children are born with that all the time. It corrects itself. But again, all these things adding up together, add up to something larger. Now, here's the biggest thing, and we didn't personally know. They do newborn hearing tests at birth for everybody.
Yeah.
She failed it, but we were told, oh, kids fail it all the time.
Yeah.
And they do. And my God.
My daughter failed it.
My son failed it, which is, he's not on the same journey, thank God, IVF and all of that, once we had the information. But yeah, we didn't think anything of it. But that was the first clue that something was going on. Once we took a series of, I believe they were called ABR tests, and we did, and we still didn't believe it, because even that in and of itself was so much to wrap our heads around, because it wasn't something in the family, the fact that she was born without the ability to hear. And so the long and the short of it was, by 4 months, I mean, there were so many things going on that were unanswered. And our pediatrician sent us to a children's hospital for what was supposed to be just 3 to 5 days of observation. And it turned into about 2 months. And our lives were just forever. I mean, listen, your life is forever changed the moment you become a parent, no matter what.
Yes.
I do think in a way, oddly enough, I was lucky that I hadn't been down that road before, because I didn't know what, motherhood more traditionally would look like. So I had nothing to compare it to. But yeah, basically, even though we still didn't have an answer, they suspected it was a mitochondrial disease, which is not a term I'd ever heard of myself before. And actually, if you talk to most doctors, they've only read about it in medical books. They don't often have experience with it. Though that said, mitochondrial disease is actually, it's underfunded, understandably, because yes, if it only impacts X amount of people, I understand it's, not as prevalent as breast cancer or other things that need to be funded. But ultimately, the longevity movement, anti-aging, all of that, it's a breakdown of mitochondria. That's literally all mitochondrial dysfunction. So, I'm not a science person. I'm going to try and become one somewhere along the way, because I do feel like there's got to be a way to bridge those two things. I think.
Well, it's the only reason why I know that word is because of longevity function, talking about like the mitochondria in the body and the breakdown, and like how sauna and cold plunge and things like this, like, can help you. And they talk about, the I don't know, just
No,
like
you're
your
right.
reversal of age, right? Yeah. So
You are right.
that's the only reason why I know that word.
Right. And it's interesting. We had an umbrella diagnosis, but not a confirmed diagnosis. And it took 2 solid years to actually get Evan's specific diagnosis. And by the way, I want to point out for any mother or parent in the rare disease community who may be listening, unfortunately, that's not a long time. Like there are families that wait 18 years because of technology.
Oh my God. Wow.
So I want to point that out just because I do recognize that for us, especially being told that our daughter, other children, so there have been, at least at the time that we were given the stats in 2020, Evan was the 27th child in the world to ever have her specific diagnosis.
What?
Kidding.
Michael's was a variant of unknown significance. And so this wasn't even, this combination was, and again, if I were a science person, maybe I could better explain. I'm still wrapping my head around all of it all these years later, but it was very, very rare. You know, like Evan ultimately, so they had said 16 months to 4 years of age was what was predicted for Evan. And she made it to 3.5, which it's not lost on me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
I know. And I mean, it was not, listen, she did not live an easy life, but my God, I can't even explain to you. I also feel like I want to make clear, like, people are not their diagnosis. Like, so because of having mitochondrial dysfunction, everything about her was not, you know, the traditional path that you would ever want for a child, obviously. I mean, so she had the cochlear implant surgery done, and that gave her the ability to hear, which was magical and life-changing because it changed everything. I mean, and again, I want to honor the deaf community. I understand it's actually controversial. That is a beautiful thing in and of itself. But for Evan, who didn't have the ability to use her hands, she didn't have the ability to walk, to speak, you know, and these are all things that we worked with PT, OT, we did all the T's, you know, we tried it all.
Yeah.
Obviously, you want to give your child every opportunity in the world. And even just seeing her, I mean, she was fed via a G tube, a gastronomy tube. But, you know, listen, food is also for enjoyment. And so even though it wasn't safe for her to consume food that way, she couldn't consume food a more traditional way. But we would do taste and texture because that's still enjoyable. Food's meant to be enjoyed. And just seeing her eat 10 milliliters, which is nothing, and we know that. But as a parent, watching her, the effort it took to do that and to see her enjoy it. It was just such a beautiful thing. But she made it to 3.5. And I really, the joy was the despair and the fight or flight. That was awful, obviously, for lack of a better description. But it was also extreme joy, like a kind of joy that you can't experience in any other way, because this child, being in her presence, she was a living angel. Like, I don't mean to sugarcoat it, because you had to work really hard for those smiles, but they were unlike anything you've ever seen in your life, really, truly. So anyway,
yeah, her smile is amazing.
Thank you.
Just pure light, like angelic light.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's so beautiful.
And you know, it's this crazy thing too. We would, like, I often say, because it's true, like, because I'd say to my therapist, you know, I don't know the way people react to Evan in the world. Because, by the way, most people never met Evan in person because she was so medically fragile. If they met her, it's because we were out on a walk in the neighborhood, or we would take her to Malibu. You know, we would take her on little outings that were outdoors, and particularly because of once the pandemic entered the picture, that was, you know, a whole other thing. But when people would see her, it was like, the reaction was just insane. Like, people would stop us in the street over this child. It was like being in the presence of a celebrity or something, because people just, there was something electric about her. I don't know. And so I would say to my therapist, like, I don't know, the way people react to this kid, like maybe that's just how people react to kids. And she's like, no, no, no. And, I've got my son who I love, and he's so, I mean, obviously, thank God for him in every way. He's obviously saved me in so many ways. And one does not replace the other, but thank God for that joy. But it is very different. Let me assure you, as cute as that kid is, no one reacts to him the way they reacted to Evan.
Well, tell us a bit about that part of your journey too, because I know you guys were really, wanting to have another, right? And so and then, Evan was going through what she was going through. You knew sort of the path ahead of you. Can you tell us a little bit about that choice and, like the months that sort of led up to that, and then also like all the months of being pregnant?
Okay. So, oh my gosh. So once we finally had that diagnosis, because we weren't going to take a chance, we didn't have answers as to how or why, if it was just, we didn't have answers. So once we had that diagnosis, we were able to find a lab that was willing, as long as we could sign, because it wasn't technically in medical books yet, the variant of unknown significance mixed with whatever, they were willing to build a test that would test for our specific combo.
Whoa. Okay.
And so I know. I mean, that was, and I know IVF for a lot of people is, but for us, it was the first bit of hope we'd had in a while.
Yeah, for sure.
So for us, it was like this. I mean, I'm not a shot. Listen, during this time, I learned how to give shots, because we needed to know how to do that. I also took them like a champ, because they're nothing. I mean, Evan went through so much more that, like, for me, that every time I had a shot, it was just like a reminder. I felt strong doing it. I felt grateful and hopeful, and it was the first bit of hope we'd had. So IVF, 17 eggs became 5 embryos, and then 2 of those embryos tested positive for the same combination.
Wow.
That means you're both carriers.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then there's a 25% chance. Is that right?
That's exactly. Once we had that was exactly it. And so then one was, not quality or whatever. I don't quite. I too much medical information at this point that, like, my mind, it's like trauma response, where I think heat of the moment, I remembered every detail I ever needed to know for Evan for survival. And then, like, the rest just kind of over time. But anyway, so, and then one was a failed, transfer, and then one was Reed. And
oh my God.
And we, during that time being pregnant, again, loved being pregnant, and it was so hopeful. It was also so scary, because even though we knew what the test told, we did the CVS, we did all the things you do, but so did I did the same thing last time and had a different experience. So until, it was nerve-wracking too. Of
course. I could only imagine.
Yeah, it was. But it gave us, and also preparing Evan to be a big sister. That's really sweet. Oh my God, I used to tell her, like, at first he's going to go, wham, 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 but then he's going to say, I love you. And she would smile. She would smile so big, because she understood everything. This kid was so savvy.
I was going to say that, like, how did you, when you were able to communicate with her, she couldn't necessarily, like, move her hands or things like that, but how did you know? What was your language with her? Was it just like a look or a smile or
all of it? It really teaches you so much about what communication is. Like, traditionally speaking, you think of communicating as being what we're doing right here. But with Evan, it became so clear that it is so much more. I mean, so she understood plenty, if not everything. Wow. She just didn't have the physical ability. Like, in fact, she actually managed to say mom 3 weeks.
Gosh, what?
Yeah, 3 weeks before. But she, like, mustered up the energy, like, somehow managed to say it was, and I have it on camera. I mean, like, I recorded.
Oh my gosh.
I recorded every second with this child because I wanted to hold on to all of it, which is also why Reed now is like, no more camera, bye camera, because I can't help it. It's that habit.
Yeah.
You just want every second, like every parent,
Yes.
But yes, communicating, she would do like also a Miranda Priestley pursing of the lips, like when she didn't like something, like Devil Wears Prada. So like you never had to question where you stood with Evan because she made it all very clear, whether it was the way she used her voice, and she could say, we taught her to say, yeah, like if she wanted something, say, yeah. But yeah, or also, we'd put her in these really cute sunglasses that really helped kind of express, the personality that we saw. And so she would choose her own sunglasses and we'd hold up the sunglasses and it was whichever pair she looked at. And so you find different ways of communicating.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then you told her that the baby was going to cry sometimes.
Oh, yes. And so I prepared, when we read a book about being a big sister and, the truth was I never let myself picture the day. The truth of the matter was every day, we didn't know what kind of day it was going to be. We truly didn't. Every day, we might wind up in the hospital by the end of the day. I mean, I wrote stories from so many hospital rooms and just didn't tell people because you don't want to be counted out. And we just didn't know what the day would look like. So I never allowed myself to picture the day that they were together. And I just didn't know if that would be possible. And to that point, literally, I was due with Reed in a week, and Evan went to just a routine cardiology appointment. She had so many routine appointments, routine for her, and they immediately sent her to the ICU. And that's, I know this is really heavy stuff. So sorry. I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's hard because this is our journey, and I want to share as much of it as somebody wants to hear, but I know it's also a lot too. So
it's so deeply meaningful for you to share your story in this way.
Okay.
It's
well,
so
thank
helpful
you
to people.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Of course.
Keep telling us about that.
Well, thank you. Well, so the long and the short of it was, during that stay at the ICU, I mean, because it was clear that there was nothing they were going to be able to do for her. She needed a heart transplant. She wasn't going to be a candidate for a heart transplant for a lot of different reasons. And so we knew we always knew we were operating on borrowed time, but it became very clear. We just didn't know. And also this kid shocked us many times where we'd been told things and then, oh my God, she somehow found the strength to come back and fight another day. She just was amazing. So it was hard to know, but that's why we had 4 months of Evan spending time with Reed, and it was incredible. I mean,
I'm sure.
And I remember I was reading some book, probably like the Toot book, something ridiculous. And I was reading it to Evan. She was in my arms. Reed was in the distance. And in the middle of the Toot book, I just started sobbing. And Michael looked at me and he was like, he thought it was funny. Oh, by the way, we're a dark humor family. We always had a dark sense of humor.
Yeah.
We just decided we were punished for it along the way, basically. But actually, you can tell a lot about a person based on if they laugh at that or not, because other people go, like they make it, Okay, yeah, same.
Yeah, we totally. I mean, I kind of feel like you have to with the way that life, throws things at you. If you're not able to kind of joke about tragedy,
oh my
or
God.
whatever, then how can you get through?
Absolutely. Michael was the king of that, by the way. I know I'm bouncing around, but another memory of dark humor is being in the hospital. They're very black and white. There's no room for humor. And so she had just had her PICC line or G-tube, whatever, one of the surgeries. They were taking out stitches and the nurse handed them to me. And she goes, matter-of-factly goes, oh, for your scrapbook. And I felt like the worst new mom ever because I didn't know, people scrapbook this stuff.
I was supposed to have a scrapbook?
I'm meant to scrapbook this?
And so that's what I said. I was like, oh, do people scrapbook? Did people save this for the scrapbook? And they said, well, no, but your husband said you wanted to save it for your scrapbook. So they took him at face value. So there was a lot of like, all of that,
That
you have
is
to.
amazing. Because then you're sitting there like,
I
what?
was so confused. And there were so many moments of that where like,
That's really good.
and it would be because Michael had said something to someone that they took at face value and took seriously.
Oh my God.
And he's so dry when you know him. So, but but the postpartum, I was sobbing while reading this ridiculous book, and Michael thought it was postpartum, so he was recording. He's like, or I know that sounds terrible, but he thought it was funny.
Yeah.
And I said to him, it's not postpartum. It was really truly that I know postpartum, I dealt with that too. I dealt with all of it. But it's that I knew that it was never going to be as perfect as that moment. Like I knew that the two of them together, it just was beautiful.
And how beautiful that you do capture a lot of things. And even if Reed now is like, no, Mom, like, come on, he will have that forever. Yeah. He will have those, just like all that, like the stuff you documented for him. And that will be like such a like soothing, healing balm for him when he gets to tell his own family one day about his sister, his big sister, and be able to show videos and photos. And like, that's amazing. I'm so glad that you had that crossover time.
Thank you. And he knows his sister. He says Evan joyfully because that's how we say Evan's name, because she is joy. I mean, that's the thing we had, again, where I'm very grateful is we had time with her and time to make peace with the circumstances and to truly understand that concept of someone being at peace. Because she fought so hard to be here. And so, no, joy. Evan is pure joy to us and to Reed. He understands as well as any 3.5-year-old is going to understand. But yeah, no, we love sharing her with him and with everyone. Yeah.
You wrote this essay, this beautiful essay, and it said like, my baby girl is gone and how I'm learning to live with grief and care for her brother.
Oh yeah.
That I wanted to ask you about that because you write so beautifully about that coexistence of your grief, but also then showing up and being a mother. And how did you, during that time and still to this day, how do you hold space for both things?
Yeah, no, that's such a good question. It's like living in two alternate realities, basically.
I'm sure.
And truly, you know what it comes down to? Evan truly taught us to be present. And those are just words. I mean, until you experience something of that magnitude. And I will say, what I didn't anticipate is you think like, oh, I learned to be present, learned it, got it. And I should have realized that obviously part of being present was being in her presence. Like she forced us to be present with her. And now that she's not in the present, it's obviously very hard to be as present. But in the same way that we threw milestones and all of that out the window for Evan in order to really, I didn't want to miss out on that time with her. That's the thing. If I was going to be grieving during that time, I'm missing out with the time with her. And so I think it was the similar thing with Reed where I understood that I didn't want to miss out on that time with him too. And so I threw myself into his joy and into his reality. And it is the most joyful, beautiful reality, thank God. And, I think also because of that in some ways, I think it's only now that I'm processing in a whole other way because, now he's becoming more independent and like, no, he's got big opinions and all of that. And so, as you guys very well know.
We do.
Yeah. And so, I think it's given me more time and space to reflect and start processing in a new way. Because I think I mentioned this earlier too, like I didn't do the traditional, in the same way that I didn't want to do a mommy and me, because that was not going to be the right fit for me being in the thick of grieving, but also I'm not going to do, it just didn't make sense to be a part for me with, any sort of grieving group. So I don't know. Yeah. You just learn to coexist
Hold
and
both things.
Yeah, you hold both things. That's survival. That's life. We all do that in different ways with different things. We are all grieving in different ways. I mean, I know it's it's not a one size fits all, obviously, in the same way the child loss is not one size fits all because every experience is so different. But yeah, survival is learning to carry the load of it, I guess. Yeah.
And what do you feel was your like biggest sort of like help through all of that? Like, did you have community around you and family around you? And like, you know, because I can only imagine in postpartum, you know, knowing that at some point this was coming, but then actually having to experience that, but then show up every day, like, you know, for your baby, like, can't imagine what that was like.
I lived it, honestly. And as you're asking me, I'm sitting here asking myself the same question because
like, how did I do that?
Yeah. I mean, I truly, other than to say to your point or question, yes, 100%. Thank God for my family. Thank God for my husband, who was not just right there with me, but like he was in all the appointments. Let me put it this way, Golden Globes and all the, all of that, which is our industry at the end of the day. We were in the hospital. That was during the first 2 months that we were there. Michael he went to the Golden Globes. He did the job. He came back to the hospital. I mean, that's just how it goes. So yeah, family, Michael, my brother. My brother was more than an uncle should ever have to be. Boy, is he prepared for parenthood, and I know his fiance is waiting, so he's ready. My mom, even with the pandemic, she would go and she would. God, I love that. I can't even think of what did we do when we would sit in a room and have to be apart from each other.
Yeah, like whatever 6 feet apart, or
not even. She would go
separation.
To a whole other, yeah, I love that. I can't come up with the most basic of terms, but bottom line is she would be at another apartment for X amount of days until quarantine. Oh my God,
quarantine!
I'm so glad I forgot that word. Quarantined. But
we've all popped it out of our heads.
That's exactly what it is. Thank God we don't remember. Yeah, quarantined. But she would still find a way to be here. My sister rented an RV and drove across the country, pregnant and with a kid in the,
because she wanted to be with you.
And because she wanted to spend time with Evan, because she understood, the pandemic couldn't get in the way,
Yeah.
So they found ways to make it happen. But I will say, where it is tricky is with friends and all of that, like obviously different paths in life. I have one girlfriend who career-wise, my God, things took off in a whole new way. And she was the one who kept showing up. Oh. She was the one who would come to the hospital. She was the one who was there during that last bit of time with Ev. Like, it's really interesting. But I think because once she passed, that's when I had more of the bandwidth to try and create a community that I really needed. I mean, I think, everyone needs community. It's very lonely as a mom sometimes, then a medical mom, then a grieving mom, and all of that. But I also think I wanted to be really careful about, being in this odd position of holding joy and also grief and how to, basically I take on people's energy. So I just wanted to be careful.
I do that as well. And then is that where Vitality came from?
It did.
Yeah,
so,
I was going to ask you about that.
You.
And you also had your business that was running at the same time.
Yes. So Yes. So I know. No, well, for me, it was a saving grace. It was a sense of normalcy because for me, storytelling was always people are fascinating to me. And I love telling people's stories. It's why I was an entertainment journalist, which funded my love of writing fictional storytelling. And I love writing. And so in the middle of the pandemic and with this huge shift in the media landscape and my life and whatever, I needed connection more than ever. So that is actually what led to launching the Vitality, which is long form stories. And one of the first people who said yes without me ever having a website was actually, I want to shout out Jordana Brewster because she I credit so much to her. She was one of the first, I think, 5 people who said yes, and I had nothing to show for it. She just knew what was in my heart, and I'm forever appreciative to her, because that obviously helped put it on the map and helped me book other stories. And basically, it's the good, the bad, the ugly. It's all of it. It's all encompassing of somebody's life and what it took for them to be in the position that they are.
Wow.
And so I will say too, Evan, I had done a bunch of stories, the shoots, the interviews, and then Evan passed away somewhat unexpectedly, somewhat in the sense that we just never knew from day to day.
Right.
And so I was working on some of those, writing those stories after the fact. And it was amazing how I saw things through an entirely different lens. I mean, like, I want to mention also Nikki DeLoach. I'm not sure if you guys know her. Love Nikki. She's
amazing.
So soulful and just...
And also a medical mom.
And also a medical mom. And which I'm trying to remember. I don't know how much awareness I even had of that piece of her journey. I think we connected because I started writing essays about everything. Anyway, started writing essays, and that's how we had reconnected. We had met out in the world plenty of times. And then I learned her journey. And so when I was writing her story after the fact, I mean, certain things were just... So, for example, I was transcribing because I was so old school that I used to still transcribe word for word. I didn't use programs. I know. My husband, he's like, Lindzi, why do you do this to yourself? But it was because...
where I'm trained.
It's the way I was trained. And also I piece stories together in my mind sometimes that way. Like the writing process used to be in that way. But Nikki had been talking about chimes and her love of chimes, and was talking about how they represent, a loved one saying hello or whatever. And so I was sitting there transcribing her interview. Again, this is after Evan had passed. She said this before she had passed. And I thought, maybe I'll get some chimes. I feel like I should get some chimes. That's a really beautiful thought. And then literally Michael comes home and he said, someone gave me a baby gift for Reed from work. And I opened it and it was chimes.
Get out. Oh my gosh.
I know.
That's unbelievable.
I know. So, we've got the chimes in the backyard, and every time they ring, Reed says, Evan's saying hi.
Oh, stop. What? That's amazing.
Thank you. Well, anyway, I feel like I could talk your ears off. So thank you for giving me this space. I can't thank you enough. It means a lot.
Oh my gosh. We're so honored to have you share your story and share Evan's story and just hear about her life and your journey and everything. So thank you.
We have had a number of beautiful mothers on who have had to navigate child loss. I think we've had 4, maybe 5. And the response from the community is always so beautiful, and they're filled with gratitude because every story needs to be shared. And also you're inspiring, like everything you've navigated and got through, and you're this successful career woman and you've got these incredible kids, and it's just like, what a beautiful legacy. And we feel grateful that you're sharing it with our community. And so thank you, because I know it's not easy to unpack all of that and go back and think about all those times.
Well, thank you. No, it's interesting because I feel like something people, and I'm sure any medical mom or grieving parent, I would think too, to me, the living it is the brave part, the sharing it is the coping, to me, revealing is healing, like truly. So I don't, so everyone who's ever taken the time to read an essay or listen to our story in any way, it's meant so much. And so thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Aww, thank you. And it's so nice to see you again.
You too. I know.
So tell everyone where they can find you, connect with you.
Sure.
And that'd be great.
Okay, yeah. Well, let's see. A lot of my essays are linked up at, let's see, actually, I have a Substack newsletter called Joyful Grief. So if you want to hop onto Substack, Joyful Grief, the Retality is and then just to confuse everyone, retail, RETAILITY.com, The Retality. Yep. And then I'm on Instagram, Lindzi Scharf. Yeah. And LANDZI.
Yes.
Just to confuse everybody.
Yes, perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on and for sharing your story and Evan's story and Reed's story. And just thank you so much for sharing them with us. And we just adore you and are so inspired by you. And Ocean is just saying hello with her little fussy body right now.
Chiming right at the end.
She loves to chime in. She makes it through almost the whole podcast, and then she decides to get very vocal every time.
She's delicious. I call that juicy legs. Like, oh my gosh, I miss the juicy legs.
I know. They're pretty delicious. That's for
so
sure.
Cute.
Well, thank you. And you guys have there we go. You guys have been listening to the Mother Days. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks, guys. Bye.